Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk About Human Rights, the show in which we discuss all things related to human rights. I'm your host, Julz Allender, and I'm part of the California chapter of Youth for Human Rights International. Youth for Human Rights International's purpose is to enlighten and educate people around the world on what their human rights are, with specific focus on the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And with this education, to enable and inspire the youth of today as our leaders of tomorrow to stand up and secure these rights for themselves and all people on earth. For each show, we like to take up one right and try to broaden your understanding of how this right is important to you and your loved ones. And for today's show, we'll be looking at human right number 3, the right to life, liberty, and security, and let me read you what that states. Everyone has the right to life, liberty, and security of person. Now let's take a look at a short video about this specific human right.
It greeted you at birth. It was there for your first step, your first mistake, your first kiss. It's with you when you win, when you lose, when you pick yourself up again. In every moment, you can feel it. Life. Human right number 3, the right to life. What are human rights? Find out at youthforhumanrights.org.
All right, let's examine these ideas a little more closely. There are some truths that are so fundamental, they form the foundation of everything else we value as a human being. Article 3 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is one of those truths. It states simply and clearly, everyone has the right to life, liberty, and security of person. At first glance, those words may seem straightforward, but when we pause and reflect, we realize just how powerful they are. The right to life means that every human being has inherent value no matter who they are, where they come from, or what they believe. Life is not something that should be taken lightly, controlled, or treated as expendable. It is the starting point of all human dignity. The right to liberty means that each person should have the freedom to live their life without unnecessary restriction. It means having the ability to think, to move, to express oneself, and to make choices about one's own future. And the right to security of person means something deeply personal. It means the right to feel safe, safe in your body, safe in your home, safe in your everyday life. It is the assurance that you will not be harmed, detained without reason, or live in constant fear. These 3 ideas, life, liberty, and security, are not separate. They are connected. In fact, they are the foundation upon which all other human rights are built. Because without life, there are no rights. Without liberty, those rights cannot be exercised. And without security, those rights cannot be protected. Article 3 was written in the aftermath of one of the darkest periods in human history. It was a response to the realization that when these basic rights are ignored, the consequences are devastating, not just for individuals, but for entire societies. And yet, even today, this article remains as relevant as ever. Across the world, people still experience moments where their safety feels uncertain, where their freedom feels limited, where their ability to live fully is challenged. This is not confined to one place or one people. It is a global reality in different forms and degrees. For those watching today, especially those who may feel that their sense of security or freedom is not what it should be, Article 3 carries a message that is both simple and profound. Your life has value. Your freedom matters. Your safety is not a privilege, it is a right. But Article 3 is not only a statement about what should exist, it is also a reminder of what must be protected, not just by governments or institutions, but by individuals. Because the reality is this: human rights are strongest when they are lived, not only when they are written. They are lived when people choose not to harm others. They are lived when communities support one another. They are lived when individuals act with respect for the dignity of those around them. Even in environments where systems may fall short, the principle of human dignity does not disappear. It continues through people, through everyday actions, through choices, through the quiet but powerful decisions to treat others with fairness and humanity. Article 3 also invites us to reflect on responsibility. If every person has the right to life, liberty, and security, then every person also has a role in respecting and protecting those same rights in others. That means rejecting violence where possible. It means choosing understanding over division. It means recognizing that every individual, regardless of background or circumstance, shares the same basic human worth. And this is where hope begins. Because while laws and systems matter, the true strength of human rights lies in people, in the collective understanding that dignity is universal and that it belongs to everyone. So today, as we reflect on Article 3, we are reminded of something essential. Human rights are not distant ideals. They are not reserved for certain places or certain people. They are a shared foundation, one that connects all of us. The right to live, the right to be free, and the right to feel safe. These are not just words written in a declaration. They are the baseline of what it means to be human. And when those rights are recognized, respected, and protected, not just in principle but in practice, we move closer to a world where dignity is not something we hope for, but something we all experience. And before we get to our special guest for the show, let's take a look around the world at some good news that occurred in human rights. But first, a comment on Iran. What we are witnessing is not just conflict, it is control. And it must be said clearly. No government anywhere in the world has the right to impose itself on its people in the name of religion. In Iran today, basic freedoms, speech, belief, assembly are being restricted. People have been arrested for expressing their views, punished for how they dressed, and even killed for protesting. This is not about culture. This is not about faith, because true faith is chosen. It is not enforced. When a government uses religion as a tool to silence voices, to control behavior, or to justify punishment, it crosses a line. Religion should elevate human dignity, not suppress it. And the Iranian people are not the problem. The people have shown resilience, courage, and a clear desire to live freely, to speak, to create, to believe without fear. So let's be specific. No authority has the moral right to dictate belief through fear. No system has a legitimacy to deny people their basic human dignity. Human rights are not granted by governments. They belong to people. And when those rights are denied, it is not just a political issue, it is a human one. In other news, cultural rights recognition. In Europe, new initiatives in Spain are promoting cultural preservation and access to the arts, reinforcing the importance of cultural rights as part of human dignity. In the United States, programs tied to Youth for Human Rights International have expanded into additional schools, increasing awareness among students about their fundamental rights. Every moment needs a voice, but it also needs people willing to show up day after day and carry that message directly to others. Our next guest is one of those people. Michele Arora has taken a simple but powerful mission and turned it into real action, person to person, conversation by conversation. She spends her time out in communities making sure that people don't just hear about human rights, they actually understand them. Through her distribution, she's helped bridge the gap between an idea written on paper and something people can recognize, use, and stand out in their everyday lives, because awareness doesn't start on a global stage. It starts with one person reaching another, and that's exactly what she is doing. So with that, I'd like to welcome Michele to our show. Welcome.
Thank you, Julia.
Yeah, well, thank you for being here. Tell us what first drew you to this activity that you're now doing.
Well, I was looking for something to educate people in the various problems that society has. And this booklet really resonated with me. And I felt I could reach a lot of people because it is real for a lot of people that their rights are not um, are not being protected, and that they're being violated on a daily basis, even in your community. I'm sure a lot of people can see how they are being violated. And so that's why I decided to use this booklet to educate people.
Excellent. And out of all the ways to get involved, why did you choose direct outreach, being face to face with people?
Because that is the best way. You give it to them, they look at it, and they go, great, I don't know what my rights are, or I don't know all of my rights. And so by reading them, they become educated in their rights, and hopefully in the future, they can use that to help themselves or their family or friends in their community.
Yeah, absolutely. And so do you remember the first time you've handed someone a booklet and what that was like?
I handed a booklet one time to a lady. She was just sitting on a rock, and I gave her the booklet, and I walked away, and I came back a few minutes later, and her face had completely changed. She was just in awe, basically, that like she had all these rights, and everyone had all these rights, and what she could do about it.
Yeah, I think it's always interesting, and I think it's always kind of why I know for myself partake in that individual contact is because the reward, the payoff is the validation in the other person, right? It is watching them realize that these things do exist and that it can help them live life better, and it can help their family and the people that they care about live life better.
Yes, the contact, the personal contact is the best way to reach people. I go to fairs and festivals, and the personal contact is the best way.
Yeah, I think it's the hardest for someone to do as well. Like, I think it's easy to stand on a stage or be in front of an audience or be behind a camera like I am here, and because you don't have any backlash, right? No one's talking back to me. No one's denying my opinion or my viewpoint. But in personal contact, you have the possibility of that happening. And I think so. Go ahead. It takes a little more courage to do that.
That is true. I mean, it's hard to argue with human rights. I don't think I have found anyone who says, well, these rights are not good or they shouldn't exist. And I have found no one who said that because they apply to everybody.
Right.
No matter where you are in the world.
Right. Yeah. Very true. Very true. And then what surprised you the most when you started doing this work?
How easy it was to actually educate people, to make them aware of their rights.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think it's very easy. Anyone that we've brought onto the show and didn't have an understanding previous to all of the 30 human rights and what they are and how important they are, it's just, it is a common sense aspect of life. And again, I think it gives people security to their future.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people can relate to them and think about how these rights are violated in their community, much less, the country or around the world. I mean, the right to life, it's violated every single day. War is one of them, right? I mean, you don't have a right to life, basically, one side attacking another. Any armed conflict, any mass shooting, I'm sure we can think of plenty of ways where that right is violated.
Yeah, but those are really good examples because I don't necessarily, I think for myself even, and until I started working more closely in this area and saw how these things relate, like how that is actually a violation of human rights, right? Like a mass shooting. It is a violation of your human right because you do have the right to life. Murder is a violation of your human right. War, right? It is a violation of your human rights. And like I stated in the opening, it's not a political issue, it's a human rights issue. And I think that humanizes these atrocities, these gross acts that people commit. It humanizes it, which it absolutely needs to be humanized.
That's right. Also, committing suicide violates that right. Did you know, it's a fact, that there are more than 20 veterans who commit suicides daily? Those who are in the US coming back from.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. Yes.
That's like what is that, 6,500 a year ish?
I don't know, I didn't count. I mean, yeah, it's a lot.
Let's talk about that a little bit. Go ahead. Yeah.
Sure. So I've been working with veterans using that booklet and handing it out to them. And I found that it gives them a purpose. It's like they can use that in their community with others. And it helps them as well. And I found people just want more of it. I'm supposed to meet a gentleman in a few weeks who read the entire booklet and was so impressed. It's like, I want more.
Wow.
So you can hand them to other veterans or to people in his community.
Right. Yeah, it's an interesting viewpoint. I'm not a veteran, and so I can't speak to exactly what is going on. I would say from my viewpoint, people typically seems like they enlist into military, at least in the United States, to help, to serve the country, right? You hear about serving the country, protect the United States of America as one of potentially, depending on your viewpoint in this day and age, the greatest places to live, on planet Earth, right? With the freedoms that we have and things of that nature. And they go in with this help factor. They want to help. They're serving a purpose. And those who go to war and not, and I'm not in the military, so I can't speak to exactly what goes on and what the emotions are like behind it and how they're trained. But just from the viewpoint of purpose, it seems like when they come out, and I think this is what potentially happened with the veteran, is that purpose goes away. Like they're not serving a purpose in helping others necessarily. And when you serve others for so long, and it's a high stakes servancy, I mean, your life is on the line and the lives of others are on the line, and potentially the lives of hundreds of millions of people are on the line. It's, there's a lot of skin in the game, a tremendous amount of skin in the game. And then for that to stop, and I'm sure there's other factors that come into play, but it seems like now this individual, this veteran, has a purpose. He has found another way to help others through the dissemination of this material. And I think it's just incredible.
I know. So we're involved with the veterans across the U.S. There's a lot of them who have adopted it as their purpose to help another.
Yeah. It's awesome. Well, let's go back to you. So was there a moment early on when you realized this actually matters?
I probably have to go back when I was a teenager, when I was a teenager. I mean, even then, the world is not right, but you don't know what. I mean, okay, there's war, all this, but it's like, what can you do about it? And so probably, I was in my late 20s, early 30s when when I came across the booklet, and it really, like, it just was um, eye-opening for me, because I was like, good, I can do something now. I have I have a tool to help others, make them aware, because we want to make human rights a reality, not just utopia, a dream. We want to make it a reality.
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, I think when we realize we get answers to questions like that and we find a way, a tool or a way to then disseminate that and help others, because it's probably pretty likely people have the similar questions, like what are we doing here and how do we, you can look around and know that murder occurs and we have a tremendous amount of homeless and war and genocide. You just go, something's not right about this, right? And you can feel so small in such big issues. But I think what you do on a personal contact, on a one-on-one individual basis, we know that it's a ripple effect, right? It starts near you, it starts in your community, and that's how things spread. And so I think it's tremendous early on in life that's what you found and started doing that.
It really, when I was growing up, there's all these armed conflicts. I remember something in Africa, and okay, it's far away. You're like, okay, that has nothing to do with me, but it still does, because it affects you. So having these rights, that all of them were violated, basically. And so by making it, I mean, obviously we want to make that real all over the world, not just in the US. And but by spreading this booklet, it will end up in other parts of the world. And there are people who will use Youth for Human Rights
Right.
and work in various countries to make those rights a reality.
Right. Have you been to other parts of the world?
I lived in France for a while, traveled to various countries in Europe, Canada.
Yeah, talk to me about, how this applies there and, through your travels and through where you lived and, um, what it looks
Uh,
like.
yeah, well, in France is a little different. All of Europe is a little different. They've had like two world wars and, a number of revolutions. And so these rights are validated every single day. But I'm thinking of another right that is validated in France also, is the right to work. For a while, there was a minister who wanted to reduce the work week from 40 hours to 37 and a half hours. I mean, the idea was that it would, or was supposed to create more jobs, but didn't. So it reduced the number of hours for people to work, but it didn't change anything.
Interesting.
So to me, I felt like it validated that right.
Totally. It's interesting, yeah, I mean, I don't want to get into politics, but, people can have some bright ideas,
Right.
but they don't really think it out. They don't really see how it's going to affect others. So that's very interesting. And it's almost like it's a violation of right, yet its intention, so to say, was to help.
Right.
Right. So it's hard to kind of snap back at it or protest against it, I guess, in a way, because it was in the name of help. But yeah, it's absolute violation of human rights.
Yep.
Good. So walk us through like what it looks like when you're out in the community. Like when you approach someone, how do those conversations usually start?
Usually I just go, know your own rights, and I give them the booklet. And sometimes that's all I say, and I walk away. Sometimes I get more, a conversation with the person. And, they look at it, they look at the book, it's like, oh, these rights are being validated. Even my rights are validated every day, whether at home, at work, in the community, not all of them, but some of them. And it makes it more real. But having those tools, now they can do something about it by showing the affected area, I should say, the booklet to show that these are human rights, that everybody has those rights, including themselves.
Right.
It's just brings them like an awareness that wasn't there before.
Right. And what's the most common reaction you get from people?
They love it. I mean, it's hard, like I said before, it's hard to argue with these rights, and everybody has them. So what I get is like, oh, thank you. Well, I'm going to read this. This is like very useful.
Yeah. I've only had one person ever in the, I've handed out thousands of, when we're referring to booklets like these, which are, what are your human rights? And it has all of the human rights listed, and in the back it has the Declaration of Human Rights, right? So this is just the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And it actually was a different one. It was United for Human Rights. It's basically the same thing. And I handed it to someone, and there's a picture of Gandhi on the front, and he just argued that about Gandhi. It was very interesting, which there was some truth in it. However, what he left out, that Gandhi then changed his viewpoint on this specific topic and actually welcomed, and realized that everyone should be treated equal and we all have the right to life, and there's not a superior race and things of that nature. But I've only had one person in the thousands and thousands of people that I've come across. So I would agree with you. And then do people generally know their rights, or is there a gap?
They know some of their rights, not all 30 of them. And so, but they're not aware that they are being violated every day and that they have those rights. And that is, I think, what I'm trying to drive home. Is like, you need to do something about it. And sometimes they go, can I have more booklets for my family? And I encourage them, like, here, you have neighbors, you influence your environment. Take as many as you want. People know you and you influence them, and they love that they can do something about it.
Yeah, I would agree with you that, on a day-to-day basis, I think on a large scale, it's pretty easy to see when human rights are violated. But on a day-to-day basis, and the kind of slow creeping in on your rights by taking little things away or enforcing little actions that take place, whether it be by the government or others and things of that nature, I think that's the biggest misconception. I think that's the biggest unknown awareness level, is how do each of these human rights, how are they accepted or denied you on a day-to-day basis? And I think, when and that's one of the purposes of why we do the show and why we educate people, is to really take a day-to-day concept. The idea, we talk about this in the beginning of a couple shows, is when you live in a community, there's a stop sign and there's an agreement there that you need to stop at the stop sign. And you as a pedestrian have the right to be safe in your neighborhood, right? You have the right to safety. And if someone doesn't stop at that stop sign, they're actually violating that human right. And it's concepts like that, right? And it's having the ability to think on a small scale, on a day-to-day life basis, and really see how human rights can be violated, but in the same time, how they're accepted and how they're granted by others. And then in addition to that, and you've mentioned this as well, is in order for me to have my human rights and have them protected, I have to ensure I don't get them if you don't get them. So
That's
I need
right.
to be less concerned about me, and I need to be not maybe less concerned, but have the same consideration for others and protect their human rights.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody else, doesn't know their human rights, then they're not gonna treat you right, or so you have to everyone has to know their rights. You're correct.
Exactly. And what do you think the biggest misconception people have about human rights?
Probably that they cannot be attained. They think it's like, it's not, it's too difficult to make it a reality. But if every single person really had these rights for themselves and for others, we would have those rights every day. We would not have any war. We would not have any conflicts.
Right. What's the toughest interaction that you've had with anyone on this?
I don't think I have.
That's good.
I know.
It's encouraging. No, it's
I'll have
totally.
to think about this one. Yeah. I don't remember anyone. I mean, anytime I hand out this booklets, people are just that grateful that I'm making them aware that they have those rights. Because
Yeah.
they probably know one or two, maybe three or four, but they don't know them all.
Right.
Workers' rights. Well, I mean, in this area where we live, there's a lot of immigrants, and working is tough for them, or making the right, being paid the right amount of money. No, it's not just like, great, you're working. Well, how much money are you making? Is it enough for you to live on? It's also that aspect.
Yeah, especially in today's world.
It's tough.
It is tough, but I would agree I would agree. You have the right to make a living wage that you can live on and that you can be successful in, and that you have freedoms, because money doesn't buy everything, and I don't think it buys happiness, but it can sure solve a lot of problems.
That is for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And even yeah, if you make enough money, then you survive better.
yeah,
You're not on the street. You can send your kids to school. It affects quite a few areas of your life.
yeah. You can eat better. You can get care when you're ill. Probably have a little more time to exercise the body, get outdoors. All of those things. Get a little more sleep. And then how do you stay so consistent when you don't see immediate results?
I don't give up. I mean, these booklets go around the community. When you give it to one person, that person might just leave it lying around. Well, someone else is going to pick it up. And so, I mean, maybe it will take a while, but I don't give up. I don't know. To me, it's like it's my job. I feel to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the most interesting parts of your work is that you go back to the same communities. And why is that important to you?
Sometimes I do that. I go someplace and maybe a few years later I go back because people move. And also I see the change sometimes. Uh, Things are much nicer, for example. The environment is just calmer, or, people have taken care of things better. And so that, I don't know if the change is because of that. It doesn't matter, I did something. So,
Yeah, it'd be hard
yeah.
pressed to say that it didn't have any effect. And you led right into the next question, which is, what was actually improved? Was it awareness, behavior, conversations, education?
Um, Probably all of that. I mean, they get the booklet, they read it, they do something. They show it to someone else, who show it to someone else, and there's a change. They start, it's like they see something and they go, wait, look at this booklet. It says, you have the right to play or the right to work. And things start changing. People, it's an awareness. They look at it, it's like, oh, you're right. I'm not doing that.
Right.
And so,
No, go ahead.
it changes the environment in which they live for the better. And then it goes and it expands and expands and expands, right?
Yeah, it absolutely does. It's one of those things where, I mean, I think it's safe to say that, environments need changing, right?
Right.
Maybe your neighborhood, maybe your community, maybe the city you live in. And the wrong thing to do is nothing. And I don't know if it's easy, I'm not going to say easy, but an effective thing to do is to bring awareness around this topic.
That's right.
And just simply hand them out, have conversations, makes a big difference, and you can affect change that way. And do people recognize you when you come back?
Sometimes they do. Sometimes they do. I
Awesome.
mean, like the veterans, I go to different meetings, and a lot of the time it's the same people. So then then we start talking about it. And then sometimes they go, can I have more booklets? Or they go, I'm the chaplain for my group. Give me some more booklets so I can, give them to the members.
That's awesome. And give us one story, maybe one person or one incident. I know you talked about improved environment, but do you have a specific story about a singular person?
Singular person.
Yeah, that may have, you talked about this veteran, a similar story like that where you contacted, handed out, went back, and then there was some success behind it.
Um, yeah, that veteran, that is a good one. Um, I know of another story. The gentleman read the booklet and just loved it so much that he started talking to others about it. And one person found out, and she was wondering, where does this booklet come from? Who is printing this? What, I want more. And and so she, works in Veterans Affairs, and we connected, and now I have all these, groups that I can go to with that booklet and make a difference.
Awesome. And what's the biggest sign that a community is starting to understand their rights?
Well, you see the changes, and also they start healing each other. It's like, they have this booklet and they go to another, say, you're not doing this. You have to, I have the right to do this, and you're preventing me from doing that. That is the biggest change to me.
Yeah, I love it when that happens. It's very cool because, it just is very cool that you can kind of regulate one another, but not in a forceful or violent way. And it can be conversation, and there's agreement there that, oh yeah, you're right. I did do that. There's an agreement that this has been violated or upheld, and makes life a lot easier to life.
And it's such common sense that no one can, it's hard to argue with. I don't know if people can argue with those rights.
Yeah, absolutely. And if more people understood their human rights, what would change in society?
Well, it would definitely be more peaceful, and there will be more understanding among ourselves, among, the society. Would definitely be, we would just get along with each other better.
Right.
Because that would be, the reality would be the booklet. So once those, you have all these rights in, then you have better understanding.
Exactly. And do you think awareness alone is enough, or does it require action?
It requires action. And that's why we have teachers using these booklets in their classrooms to make their students more aware. It's not enough to hand out the booklet. There has to be some education. So schools, libraries, these type of groups, even veterans.
Yeah, absolutely. And why do you think so many people don't know their rights?
I think it's not really, I don't know, for me, it was not taught in school. It's not something that is part of a curriculum. You hear about them, but you don't really know them.
Right.
So it does take action. It's not just that, disciplining alone is not enough. It has to be some education involved.
Right. Exactly. And for people watching in places where they feel limited, what would you say to them?
What do you mean by limited?
Like they don't have a lot of rights, like a lot of their human rights. So like places across the world where there's gross human rights violations and it's known and it's evident. Um,
Well, this is the same. I mean, it works the same. You would have to make it real to them that it is not to their advantage and they're not to their survival, whatever they're doing or what is done to themselves, either one, it's not pro survival for them.
yeah.
And if they were to use these rights, they would not use necessarily. I mean, for some people, probably some leaders, they think it would remove their power.
Yeah.
It would not.
Yeah.
They'll still be leaders. They would just be probably liked better, and they wouldn't be committing all these harmful acts like murder.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. So as we get to the close of this interview here, we ask every guest this final question, and that is, what is your favorite human right and why?
I would have to say the right to life, just because it affects a lot of people. I mean, war is a violation of that right. Any armed conflict, mass shooting, suicide, I'm sure we can think of others. But that is my favorite one.
Excellent. It's a good one to have. Well, first and foremost, thank you for what you do on a day-to-day basis. You are helping, you are saving lives, you are doing just the work that it just creates large effects. So I very much appreciate it. And thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, well, that's our show for this week. I hope you found some valuable information, and most importantly, disseminate the information, know your rights, know what the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is, know that it exists for every human being on planet Earth. These are not things that a government can grant to you. These are things that you have innately, and you need to fight for them, for yourself and for others. And until next time, I'll see you then.